Hello, family. Enjoy this relaxing moment with Surly Tales. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. It means the world to us. Also, share this video with your friends and loved ones, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Raya Morgan's world was a blur of rain-slicked streets and neon lights. Her bicycle tires hissed against the asphalt as she navigated a maze of honking taxis and brake light reflections. Every drop of water that soaked her courier jacket felt like a nail in her coffin. One more failed rent payment, and the landlord would change her locks. She'd survived 2 years on deliveries, but her luck had run bone dry. Tonight's drop was the last chance to scrape together the rent. Her stomach growled in protest as she rounded the corner onto Willow Avenue. The client's building loomed, an aging brownstone with a single flickering porch light. She climbed the stoop, hand trembling as she pressed the buzzer. A muffled voice buzzed her up. The door swung open. A middle-aged man in a ratty bathrobe snatched the small package from her gloved hand without a "thank you." Raya's relief was instant and brief. As she mounted her bike, heart still racing, a black Rolls-Royce Phantom roared around the corner and screeched to a stop just inches from her front wheel. The world seemed to tilt. The car door yawned open, and out stumbled a woman in designer heels and a trench coat that looked worth more than Raya's bike. She was beautiful, high cheekbones, emerald green eyes, but her mascara had streaked, carving dark rivulets down her cheeks. "Miss Morgan," the woman gasped, voice thick with desperation. She clutched a leather clutch so tight her knuckles were white. "Please. I need your help. I have cash, $120,000. Right now." Raya froze. The words sounded like a cruel joke. "You're asking a stranger to stop a wedding for 6 figures? Her voice echoed off the Rolls-Royce gleaming fender. The woman nodded, tears glistening. "I know it sounds insane, but it's my life. I'm pregnant, his baby. They're forcing him to marry someone else tomorrow morning. If I don't act, I lose him and our child." Raya's pulse thundered. She thought of her own heartbeat, the way it felt when she was late for a delivery or when the landlord threatened to evict her. 6 figures could buy her months of rent, maybe even a deposit on a new place. But risk her safety for a stranger's wedding? "Why me?" Raya asked. "Because you're reliable. You get things done. And you need the money." The woman's voice cracked. She slid open her clutch and spilled wads of crisp $100 bills into Raya's gloved hands. The sight of the money nearly blinded her. Raya counted it twice, then shoved it into her jacket pocket. "All right," she whispered. "What's the plan?" The woman's eyes brightened. "Thank you. Thank you. It's St. Aurelia's Cathedral, 8 tomorrow. You slip in, stand at the back, and when the priest asks if anyone objects, you shout, 'He's mine.' That's it. Just shout." Raya tested the words on her tongue. They sounded ridiculous. "And then what?" The woman swallowed. "Then you leave. No one questions a random outburst if it's over quickly. He'll think it's a publicity stunt for a charity he supports. It'll blow over." Raya nodded, already calculating. Sunrise was at 6:15, traffic would be lighter at 7:30, she'd have time to change out of her soaked uniform. She tucked the address into her pocket and pushed back her hood. "I'll be there." "Thank you," the woman repeated, stepping back into the Phantom. The door closed, the engine purred, and in a blink, she was gone. Raya watched taillights disappear around the corner before climbing back on her bike. The wind slapped her face as she pedaled away, mind racing faster than her wheels. That night, sleep was a stranger. Raya lay on her lumpy mattress, staring at the ceiling, the weight of the envelope pressing against her thigh. She replayed every detail, the woman's tears, the stack of bills, the simplicity of the plan. And the name she'd never forget, Sasha Lang. Morning came in shards of gray light and steady rain. Raya threw on a borrowed blazer. Sasha's instructions had insisted she look ordinary, and shoved her soaked courier jacket into a trash bag. She tucked her hair into a ponytail, wiped the sleep from her eyes, and left her apartment at 7 a.m. exactly. St. Aurelia's Cathedral rose before her like a fortress. Twin spires pierced the low clouds, stained glass windows glowed faintly. A line of black limousines stretched along the curb. Well-dressed guests in furs and silk coats clustered under umbrellas. Flashbulbs popped. Uniformed security scanned every face. Raya slipped into the shadows, heart pounding so loudly she was sure everyone could hear. She ducked behind a marble column just as a string quartet began to play Handel's Messiah. She glanced at her phone, 7:58. 2 minutes until "Speak now or forever hold your peace." The cathedral doors opened, and a hush fell. Bridesmaids floated down the aisle. The groom, she assumed, waited at the altar, though his back was to her. The priest began, voice rich and sonorous. "Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" The words blurred. Her throat went dry. "And do you promise to love, honor, and cherish?" A bead of sweat slid down her temple. "Speak now or forever hold your peace." Her cue. Raya pushed off the column and sprinted forward, rain-soaked blazer flapping behind her. Every eye turned. Every camera swung. She climbed the steps, chest heaving. "Stop. He's mine." Silence exploded into chaos. Cameras flashed in rapid staccato. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The groom turned, tall, broad-shouldered, raven-black hair slicked back. His face was a masterpiece of chiseled jaw and high cheekbones, but his eyes were shock incarnate. Raya's heart froze. This was not Daniel Carlisle. This was Jackson Rhee, global tech tycoon, CEO of Ecotech, one of the world's most powerful men. She swallowed, but her words came anyway. I thought someone paid me to shout. I'm sorry." Security guards closed in. The bride-to-be collapsed, fainting in a pool of silk and lace. The priest dropped his book. The entire cathedral vibrated with stunned murmurs. A hand seized Raya's arm, dragging her into a side alcove. Jackson's stormy gaze locked onto hers. "Who sent you?" he demanded, voice low and dangerous. Raya swallowed. "A woman, Sasha Lang. She gave me cash. Said she was pregnant with Daniel Carlisle's child and needed me to stop his wedding." He stared as if she'd confessed to murder. Then his lips twisted into a humorless half-smile. "Oh, you've just derailed my IPO launch in 30 seconds. Raya's blood ran cold. "I'm sorry. I really thought." Jackson cut her off with a sharp gesture. "You owe me." She trembled. How?" He studied her as though she were a puzzle. "We'll figure that out." As security hauled her away, cameras followed her every step. In that moment, Raya Morgan realized she'd gambled everything on a stranger's promise and lost. But she couldn't know how much more was at stake. Tomorrow, she'd wake up as the woman who ruined the wrong wedding. And nothing would ever be the same. Raya's head pounded as she blinked against the glare of flashbulbs. She'd expected anger, security guards hauling her off, but not this. Every camera in St. Aurelia's cathedral pointed at her like rifles. Reporters shouted questions she couldn't hear over the roaring in her ears. The echo of, "He's mine," still burned on her tongue. "Move," a burly guard barked, shoving her toward a side door. She stumbled over the hem of her borrowed blazer and nearly fell face first onto the marble floor. Her soaked courier jeans were caked with mud, her hair dripped water onto polished stone. The cathedral's grandeur mocked her. They shoved her into a small anteroom, a hushed space where velvet chairs lined the walls and a single ornate mirror hung above a wooden console. The door slammed shut behind her. Heart hammering, she leaned against the cool wall and tried to catch her breath. Footsteps approached. The door opened to reveal Jackson Rhee. He wore a tailored navy suit that looked painted on, and his expression was colder than the marble outside. His dark eyes gleamed with controlled fury. "You," he said, voice low. "Explain." Raya swallowed. I thought I was stopping a wedding for a woman named Sasha Lang. She paid me $120,000 to shout when the priest asked for objections. I had no idea who I was interrupting." Her words tumbled out, each one weighed down by panic. "It was a mistake." He crossed the room in 3 long strides and stopped a foot from her. "A mistake that just tanked my IPO." He waved a hand at the wall-mounted flat-screen TV, which still showed the live feed, guests recoiling, his bride collapsed in a faint, and the stock ticker at the bottom blinking red. You just lost me billions. Raya's chest constricted. I'm sorry. I really am. She tried to force calm into her voice. But I don't even know where to find this Sasha Lang now. Jackson's jaw clenched. He turned away, pinching the bridge of his nose. Find her, he snapped. And fix this. He reached into his jacket and produced a slim, black smartphone. He tapped the screen. Security, get me her number. I want to know exactly who's behind this. Raya nodded, mouth dry. Okay. She looked around for a place to sit. Can I sit? The adrenaline surge left her legs wobbly. Jackson flicked a glance at the chairs but didn't offer one. Stay. He turned back to the screen, arms folded. She remained standing, shifting her weight from one foot to the other. Rainwater dripped onto the carpet, leaving small, dark circles. The smell of wet wool and incense hung in the air. Outside, the cathedral's massive doors remained open, guests still milling in shock. A door behind Jackson opened, and two men in black suits entered. One carried a tablet, the other had a leather folder. They bowed their heads briefly, then stood at attention. Sir, the taller one said, voice measured. We have the data on Ms. Lang. Her phone number, address, even recent transactions. Jackson nodded. Good. Send a team to her apartment and bring her to me. He paused, eyes narrowing. And get me a statement for the press. This was a spontaneous protest for our charity initiative. No one outside will ever know it was a mistake. The men bowed and exited. Jackson's gaze flicked back to Raya. You're going to help me find her? Then you're going to stand in front of every camera and say you were paid to protest my company's social program. And you'll apologize publicly. Raya's stomach churned. And then what? She asked, voice trembling. Then we decide your fate, he said, voice flat. Raya's mind raced. Public apology. Fine. But being paraded as a paid protester for his charity? That would ruin her. She swallowed. I'll help. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Jackson's expression softened for the briefest moment, almost a flicker of relief, before it hardened again. Good. He looked at his watch. You have 4 hours before the press conference. Find Lang, get her here, and memorize your statement. Or we leak your identity and let the tabloids have a field day. She nodded, legs shaking. I understand. He turned to leave. One more thing. She glanced up. Yes. He pointed at her soaked blazer. Change. I don't need any more distractions about your attire. He walked out, leaving the door ajar. Raya exhaled, sinking into one of the velvet chairs. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, 3 missed calls from her landlord. She silenced it. Time to focus. She tapped the address Sasha had given, a cramped one-bedroom on East 45th Street. She texted herself the location, then stood, steeling herself against the fear curling in her chest. Outside the anteroom, security let her pass through a service corridor. Guards cleared her path without a word. She emerged into a backstage area behind the cathedral's main hall, linen closets, electrical panels, a side exit marked, staff only. She slipped through it and found herself on a narrow cobblestone lane. Rain had slackened to a drizzle, and steam rose from manhole covers. She pulled out her phone, tapped the rideshare app, and waited for confirmation. 2 minutes later, a black SUV pulled up. She climbed in, hands still shaking. The driver nodded once and pulled away. Her mind churned with questions. Who was Sasha Lang? Why had she targeted Daniel Carlisle, someone Raya had never heard of? And why had the address led her here, to the wrong wedding? Every answer seemed to spawn more questions. The SUV rattled through city streets until it reached a block of aging brick tenements. Number 216 was barely visible in peeling gold paint. Raya paid the driver and dashed inside, slamming the door against the cold. A narrow hallway stretched before her, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. She climbed the stairs 2 at a time, heart hammering. At apartment 3B, she knocked. No answer. She jiggled the doorknob. She peered through the peephole, a dim living room, peeling wallpaper, a sagging couch. No sign of Sasha. She texted Jackson's security, at 3B. No answer. No response. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Leave now. It chilled her. Someone knew she was here. She took a deep breath and knocked again louder. Sasha? It's Raya Morgan. We need to talk. Silence. Then footsteps approached from inside. The doorknob rattled. Raya braced herself. The door swung open, but it wasn't Sasha. It was a slender man in a rumpled shirt, eyes bloodshot. Who the hell are you? He demanded. Raya swallowed. I'm looking for Sasha Lang. She sent me here. Where is she? The man's face twisted with confusion. Sasha Lang? Never heard of her. He eyed her wet blazer. You're one of those PR stunt girls, right? The protester. Raya's heart sank. No, listen. It was a mistake. I need her. Please. He shook his head. You want Sasha? Try apartment 4A. She moved in last week. He closed the door. Raya backed away, stunned. 4A? One floor up. She sprinted up the stairs, mind racing. Whoever Sasha was, she was slippery, and time was running out. She had a press conference to survive, a public apology to memorize, and a tech tycoon breathing down her neck. But first, she had to find Sasha Lang. And she had a sinking feeling this was only the beginning of her nightmare. Raya Morgan's lungs burned as she sprinted up the final flight of stairs in the aging tenement. Apartment 4A loomed at the end of the corridor, its door scuffed and the number barely legible. She pounded on it. No answer. The hallway's fluorescent bulb flickered overhead, casting her elongated shadow against the wall. A muffled voice drifted through the door. Who is it? Raya Morgan, she called. From the cathedral, Sasha Lang sent me. Silence. Then a click, and the door swung open a crack. A young woman peered out, her dark hair in a messy bun, eyes wide and wary. Are you? The tenant's voice trailed off as she recognized Raya's soaked blazer. You're her stunt girl. Raya held up her hands. No. It was a mistake. Please, Sasha hired me to shout at a wedding, said she was pregnant with Daniel Carlisle's baby. I need to find her. The tenant's eyes narrowed. Sasha Lang? She moved again yesterday. Heard she's hiding out somewhere else. Can't help you. Before Raya could respond, her phone buzzed. Jackson Ree's number, unsaved. She hesitated, then answered. Yes. Where are you? His voice was clipped, authoritative. We have 5 minutes until the press conference. Raya glanced at the peeling hallway walls. I'm at 4A. She's not here. He sighed, tension seeping into his tone. Forget Sasha. You're late. Get to the cathedral now, memorize your statement, and stand by the podium. Do it and this ends. Don't, and we release everything. She swallowed hard. I'm on my way. He hung up. Raya exhaled, fear twisting in her gut. She'd failed to find Sasha, and now she faced Jackson's wrath. She looked at the tenant, who crossed her arms. Please, Raya said, voice soft. You don't understand. He'll ruin me. The tenant hesitated, then unlocked the door wider. Go. But get out of here. She slipped a folded piece of paper into Raya's hand. I found this in the lobby. Might help. Raya opened it, an address scrawled in hurried handwriting. Pier 39, Warehouse 7. No name. She tucked it into her pocket and dashed back down the stairs. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the streets gleamed with residual moisture. She flagged a taxi, rattled off the address, and sank into the seat. The driver's rearview mirror reflected her ashen face. Urgent? He asked. Very, she whispered. The taxi sped through the city. At Pier 39, she paid the driver and ran across the wooden planks, heart hammering. Warehouse 7 sat at the far end, its metal door chained shut. She yanked at the chain. Her phone buzzed again. Jackson. She ignored it and dialed the number on the note. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. She left a breathless message. This is Raya Morgan. I'm at Warehouse 7. Please, Sasha, call me. She tapped her foot, scanning the deserted pier. A shadow moved inside the warehouse. She approached, heart in her throat. The door creaked as she pushed it open. Inside was darkness, save for a sliver of light through a broken window. Crates and shipping pallets formed a maze. She called softly, "Sasha?" A figure emerged, the same designer trench coat, now muddied at the hem. Sasha Lang stood with arms crossed, lips twisted in a triumphant smile. Behind her, a second woman, tall, blonde, corporate chic, watched with amused detachment. "Sasha," Raya breathed. "Thank God." Sasha's smile widened. "You found me. Good girl." She gestured to the blonde. "Meet Marissa Grant, my PR consultant." Marissa inclined her head. "Pleased to meet you." Her tone was polite but icy. Raya's relief flickered into confusion. "Why are you here? Why the warehouses?" Sasha shrugged. "Needed a secure location. Didn't want you blundering into another wedding." Raya's stomach twisted. "You lied to me. You're not pregnant. Daniel Carlisle isn't even here. I ruined someone's wedding for nothing." Sasha's eyes glittered. "Not nothing. I needed a scapegoat." She stepped closer. "You're that scapegoat, Raya. Now you'll do as you're told." Raya recoiled. "I'm done. I want my money and I'm out." Marissa smiled, producing a tablet. "We've prepared a contract. If you walk, you forfeit the fee. Sign, and we release you from the gig. Refuse, and we'll tell the world you're a mercenary protester hired by a vengeful ex." Raya's breath caught. She couldn't let that happen. Her face burned. "Give me the contract." Marissa slid it over. Raya scanned the fine print, non-disclosure, no leaks, and a clause binding her to any future stunts they might need. She tore her gaze from the tablet. "I'm not signing that." Sasha laughed. "Then you're trapped. But don't worry, sweetheart. Your next gig is in an hour." Raya's chest tightened. "What? No." Sasha raised a hand. "You'll appear at the press conference at St. Aurelius. You'll apologize for disrupting Jackson Rhee's wedding in support of Ecoteca's new charity initiative. You'll make it sound spontaneous. Got it?" Raya shook her head. "I'm not doing that." Marissa tapped her tablet. "We've already leaked your identity to the tabloids. They'll run the story in minutes. You'll either comply or you'll be ruined." Raya's mind raced. She could almost hear Jackson's demand. Apologize publicly or suffer. She swallowed hard. "Fine." Her voice was brittle. "I'll do it." Sasha's grin was triumphant. "Excellent. Now get back there." She handed Raya a fresh blazer and a press badge with Raya's name and Ecotech Charity Ambassador. "Put this on. You have 30 minutes." Raya took the blazer as if it were a hot coal. She slid it on, heart pounding. The press badge felt like a noose. She looked up. "You owe me. You promised $120,000. Sasha's smile flickered. "Oh, you'll get paid. After the conference. And if you keep cooperating." Raya's hands curled into fists. "After I'm complicit in this lie." Sasha shrugged. "Welcome to the world of high stakes." Raya turned on her heel and fled the warehouse. Rain began again, cold and unforgiving. She sprinted back to the taxi, hands shaking as she showed the driver the cathedral's address. The city lights blurred as she raced through the streets. At St. Aurelius, the press conference stage was set in the courtyard. A podium bore the Ecotech logo, rows of chairs held journalists and investors. Security guards checked Raya's badge as she stepped onto the stage, heart pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. Backstage, she saw Jackson pacing. His suit was immaculate, his expression unreadable. He looked up as she approached. "You're late," he said, voice low. Raya swallowed. "Traffic." He didn't respond. She climbed the steps to the podium, notes trembling in her hand. A hush fell. Cameras clicked to life. She cleared her throat. "Good morning. I'm Raya Morgan. Earlier today, I interrupted Mr. Jackson Rhee's wedding to raise awareness for Ecoteca's new global education initiative. I was paid by the company to stage a spontaneous protest." Jackson's eyes snapped to her, jaw tightening. Raya pressed on, voice gaining strength. "I apologize for any confusion. My actions were meant to highlight the importance of accessible education worldwide. Ecotech remains committed to social responsibility and philanthropic endeavors. Thank you. She finished, heart-hammering, and stepped back. Jackson strode forward, took the podium, and addressed the crowd. Thank you, Raya. This stunt has achieved exactly what we intended, drawing attention to our charity efforts. Let's move forward. Raya Morgan's mind reeled as she stepped off the elevator into the gleaming lobby of Ecotech's headquarters. The sun glinted off glass walls, holographic displays floated in the air. She clutched her tablet like a lifeline, its screen lit with project plans and her calendar. A new entry blinked, press event, 3 p.m., charity partnership announcement. Beneath it, another, decision deadline, accept Jackson's offer. She exhaled and headed toward the cafeteria. Her stomach churned. Yesterday's code fix had earned her respect. Today's decision would define her future. Would she become Jackson's consultant, trading freedom for security? Her thoughts scattered when she rounded a corner and nearly collided with Sasha Lang. Sasha stood beneath a rotating hollow banner, dressed in a sharp pantsuit, hair sleek. She carried a tablet emblazoned with a rival AI startup's logo, NovaGen. Raya's heart sank. Sasha had infiltrated Ecotech. Sasha's lips curved into a smug smile. Hello, Mrs. Ree. Raya froze. The tabloid's wedding crasher wife headlines still haunted her. She forced calm. You're here. Sasha tilted her head. You said you wanted to know the real villain. She tapped her tablet. A news clip played on its screen. Sasha on a talk show, announcing NovaGen's revolutionary AI and hinting at Ecotech's dark secrets. Raya's blood ran cold. What are you doing? Sasha's eyes glittered. You thought I was desperate and pregnant. I was playing you and Jackson to sabotage Ecotech's reputation before our IPO. Raya's hands clenched. You lied. You manipulated me. Sasha laughed, a low, chilling sound. All's fair in corporate warfare. She stepped closer. And now, I'm launching false claims, Ecotech abuses employees, invades privacy, and I have victims ready to testify. Raya's mind raced. If these accusations stuck, Jackson's empire and her chance at stability would crumble. She had to act. Why? Raya's voice trembled. Why ruin everything? Sasha's smile faded. Because Jackson stole my prototype. He ghosted me after I shared my work. I lost everything. She squared her shoulders. Now I'll watch his empire burn. Raya's anger flared. You won't get away with this. Sasha's eyes narrowed. Try to stop me. She tapped her tablet again, and the hollow banner shifted to a mock-up of Raya's face next to the words corporate spy. Raya stumbled backward as security guards approached. Sasha raised a hand. I have every right to be here. The guards hesitated. Sasha's startup had investors on the board of Ecotech. She held leverage. They stood down. Sasha smirked and strode away, leaving Raya trembling. In the conference room, Jackson paced like a caged tiger. His tailored suit was immaculate, but his eyes burned with fury. Raya entered and closed the door behind her. He stopped. They're accusing us of privacy violations, employee data leaks. They have witnesses ready to go public. Raya swallowed. I saw Sasha. She's orchestrating it. Jackson's jaw tightened. I trusted her as an ex. I never saw this coming. Raya met his gaze. She wants revenge. We need proof, evidence of her scheme and exoneration for Ecotech. He studied her. And you can get it? She nodded. She's been sloppy. I can track her communications, find her collaborators. He exhaled sharply. Do it. And Raya, thank you. She left, heart pounding. Downstairs, she found the server room, an unmarked door past the lobby. She flashed her badge. It clicked open. Inside, rows of blinking servers hummed. She logged in with her credentials, accessing logs for NovaGen's IP addresses. Her fingers flew over the keyboard as she traced data packets to a hidden cloud server. A list of file transfers appeared, design schematics, video recordings, emails between Sasha and political activists. She downloaded the cache to a secure drive. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights pulsed. Security voice crackled. Unauthorized access detected. Exit immediately. Raya's heart raced. She yanked the drive free and sprinted for the door. Guards met her at the threshold. "Hands up," one shouted. Raya froze, then held out the drive. "It's evidence." Sasha's scheme, proof of her lies. The guards exchanged glances. One took the drive and scanned it on a handheld device. The display blinked. Malicious data found. Classified corporate espionage. He nodded. "Sir." Moments later, Jackson strode in with his head of security. He scanned the drive, brows furrowing. Then he turned to Raya, relief flooding his face. "You did it." Raya exhaled. "We have everything." That afternoon, Ecotech's legal team convened a closed press briefing. Journalists crowded into a glass-walled auditorium, cameras rolling. Jackson stood at the podium, flanked by Raya and the head of legal. He began, voice calm and authoritative. "Earlier this week, Ecotech faced allegations of privacy violations and unethical practices. We take these claims seriously." He paused, then gestured to a large screen. It displayed emails, schematics, and video clips, evidence of Novagen's smear campaign. "Our investigation has uncovered a coordinated effort by Novagen and its CEO, Sasha Lang, to undermine Ecotech through false accusations and stolen intellectual property," Jackson continued. "These actions constitute corporate espionage and defamation. We have filed suit, and our evidence will be presented in court." Cameras clicked furiously. Reporters shouted questions, but Jackson raised a hand. "No further comments until legal proceedings conclude." As the press dispersed, Raya felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see Jackson offering a genuine smile. "You saved us." She forced a smile in return. "I just did my job." He nodded. "I owe you more than I can repay." Raya glanced at the empty stage. Sasha's lies lay exposed, but the battle wasn't over. Yet, as she walked beside Jackson through the echoing lobby, she realized she had finally proven herself, not as a pawn, but as a partner. And for the first time since the wrong wedding, she felt a surge of hope. As applause rose, Raya felt a hollow victory. She'd saved Jackson's image, temporarily, but sold her integrity in the process. And somewhere out there, Sasha Lang smiled, her plan unfolding perfectly. Raya realized she was no longer just a courier, she was trapped in a web of deceit, with no clear way out. Tomorrow she would have to face Jackson again. And this time, he might demand more than an apology. Raya Morgan awoke to a room she didn't recognize. The ceiling was vaulted, painted pale gray, automated blinds rose at her movement, revealing floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked manicured gardens. Her body ached from the cathedral's chaos, and her borrowed blazer lay crumpled on a plush armchair. A tray slid silently through a hidden compartment, steaming coffee, fresh croissants, and a tablet displaying the morning news. Wedding crasher wife saves tech giant's charity stunt. She sat up, heart pounding. The events of the press conference replayed in her mind. Her forced apology, Jackson Rhee's smooth recovery speech, and the applause that felt more like shackles clicking shut around her wrists. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. Today, she would meet the cost of her compliance. A soft chime echoed through the room. The tablet screen changed. Meeting with Mr. Rhee in 15 minutes. Conference room B. Raya dressed quickly in the designer blouse Sasha had provided and tugged her damp hair into a sleek ponytail. She left the suite and stepped into a corridor of pale marble. The air smelled faintly of jasmine. She followed signs to conference room B, her footsteps muffled on the thick carpet. The door slid open at her approach. Inside, Jackson stood beside a long glass table surrounded by his executive team. They all turned as she entered. He nodded curtly. "Good morning." His voice was low, measured, no trace of the man who'd yelled at her in the cathedral. Raya swallowed. "Good morning." She slid into the chair opposite him. He studied her for a moment, then addressed the team. "Ms. Morgan has been briefed on today's agenda. She'll be joining our product review in 10. He didn't explain further. The executives murmured, then returned to their laptops and charts. Raya stared at the tablet in front of her, schematics for Ecotech's new AI-driven home security system. She tapped the screen, scrolling through lines of code and interface mockups. Her chest tightened. She had no business here. A crisp voice cut through her panic. Are you comfortable with the interface? Raya looked up to see an engineer, late 20s, glasses, peering over her shoulder. She cleared her throat. I'm familiar with basic AI logic, but I'm not a professional. He smiled politely. We appreciate fresh eyes. Sometimes a new perspective spots issues we miss. She forced a nod and scanned the code. A line caught her attention, a conditional loop that could trigger a false alarm if network latency exceeded 50 milliseconds. She frowned. If a user's internet dipped, their alarm would blare, nightmare for customers. Excuse me, she said, voice shaky. This loop here. If the latency threshold is breached, it sends an alert immediately. Wouldn't it be better to add a retry delay? Otherwise, users with unstable connections will get constant false alarms. The engineer blinked. Interesting point. He tapped his tablet. Let me test that. He typed a few commands. The screen flashed, error logs vanished. You're right. That would fix dozens of customer complaints we logged last quarter. He looked at Jackson. Shall I implement the change? Jackson nodded. Yes. Good catch. Raya exhaled, adrenaline surging. She'd just improved Jackson's flagship product. The room's atmosphere shifted, respectful nods, curious glances. After the meeting, Jackson lingered. He closed the door and turned to her. You have a knack for problem solving. Raya swallowed. I just spotted a bug. He smiled, a quick, genuine upturn of lips. Most people in your position would have been terrified, not analytical. Her cheeks warmed. I'm adaptable. He studied her. We'll need you in more reviews. Your perspective is valuable. She nodded, surprised by the invitation. Thank you. He paused. Lunch, then a strategy session with PR. Are you free? Raya glanced at her watch. Yes. He offered a rare, faint smile. Good. The company cafe bustled with suited employees and tech journalists. Jackson led Raya to a private booth overlooking the atrium. A server arrived with steaming bowls of noodle soup. The broth smelled of ginger and lemongrass. Raya dug in, savoring the warmth. Jackson watched her for a moment before speaking. You did well this morning. His tone was neutral, but she sensed sincerity. Your input saved us potential recalls. Raya set down her spoon. I'm glad to help. She hesitated. Mr. Ree, why are you doing this? Inviting me into your world, after everything. He looked away, eyes on the glass walls. You didn't deserve what happened at the cathedral. But we made the best of a disaster. She frowned. He met her gaze. I needed someone to carry the narrative. You needed protection from being exposed. It was a symbiotic arrangement. Raya's pulse quickened. And now? He leaned forward, elbows on the table. Now I see potential. Not just in your performance, but in you. Her heart thudded. Potential. He shrugged. Your resourcefulness. Your courage. He paused as if weighing his words. I want you on my team, permanently. She stared. On your team? He nodded. As a consultant, you'd have access to resources, salary, benefits. He offered her his hand across the table. What do you say? Raya's mind whirled. This was everything she'd ever wanted, stability, purpose. Yet, it came from the man whose wedding she derailed. She glanced at his extended hand. He withdrew his hand and leaned back. Think about it. I need an answer by tomorrow. She nodded. I will. That evening, Raya returned to the guest suite. She stood by the window, gazing at the mansion's grounds, fountains, topiary, and the city skyline beyond. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples and pinks. Her phone buzzed, a text from Sasha Lang. Nice try. Remember your deal. Anger flared. She tossed her phone onto the velvet couch. Sasha's threats lingered like a dark cloud. Yet Jackson's offer shone like a beacon. She realized she stood at a crossroads. Accept the life he offered, with all its complications, or return to her old world of uncertainty and fear. Her reflection shimmered in the window. The woman staring back was no longer just a delivery courier. She'd crashed a wedding, saved a tech empire's launch, and fixed critical code in an AI system. She'd become something more. Raya exhaled. Tomorrow she would decide. But tonight, she allowed herself a moment of quiet pride. In the span of 2 days, she transformed from desperate courier to indispensable ally. And whatever came next, she was ready to face it head-on. Raya Morgan stood on the glass-walled balcony of Ecoteca's global headquarters, gazing at New Harbor's skyline. Dawn's light painted skyscrapers in soft gold, and the bay shimmered like molten silver. 6 months had passed since the cathedral fiasco, 6 months that felt like years. She no longer recognized the woman in the mirror. The once desperate by courier had become a polished consultant, confidant, and co-leader of Jackson Rhee's philanthropic foundation. Her phone buzzed with a calendar alert. 9 a.m. board meeting. Global Education Initiative. She tucked the device into her blazer pocket and straightened her posture. Inside, her team awaited her presentation on expanding digital classrooms to remote villages. Every day, she translated her street smarts into strategies that changed lives. Ready? Jackson's voice came from behind. He leaned against the doorway, coffee mug in hand. He wore a crisp white shirt and tailored trousers. His casual look, but his presence was unmistakable. Raya smiled. As I'll ever be. She followed him back into the conference room, where a dozen executives and NGO partners sat around a gleaming oak table. Her slides displayed statistics, maps, and testimonials from pilot schools in East Africa. She clicked to the next slide. Projected impact: 1 million students by 2027. Thanks, Raya, Jackson said, once she concluded. Your insights are invaluable. We'll proceed with your recommended partnerships. He turned to the group. Any questions? Hands shot up. Raya addressed each query with confidence. Budget concerns, logistical challenges, technological solutions. By the end, the room buzzed with optimism. Partners approached her afterward, shaking her hand, praising her vision. She felt a thrill. This was her element. After the meeting, Jackson and Raya exited into the executive lounge. He handed her a cup of herbal tea. You were amazing, he said softly. I'm proud of you. Raya took a sip. Thank you. Feels right? She paused, meeting his gaze. I accepted your offer. He exhaled, relief and joy flickering across his face. Good. I'm glad. He hesitated, then added, I've been thinking about us. Her heart fluttered. She'd wondered when this conversation would come. Us, she echoed. He set his mug down. I want to do it right. No press, no contracts. Just this. His dark eyes searched hers. Will you marry me? Her breath caught. Memories flooded back. The cathedral altar, the forced I do, the chaos. This was different, private, genuine. She swallowed. Yes, she whispered, but on my terms. He smiled, relief softening his features. On your terms. That evening, Jackson led Raya to the rooftop garden of his penthouse suite. Lanterns glowed along a winding stone path. White roses climbed trellises. The city lights twinkled below. A small table held a single candle and 2 glasses of champagne. Raya's breath caught. This is beautiful. He took her hand. I wanted it to be perfect. He reached into his jacket pocket and produced a velvet box. She sank onto a cushioned bench as he knelt. Raya Morgan, he began, voice steady, when I first met you, you were a stranger who shouted at me in a cathedral. I never imagined you'd become my partner. In work, in life, in everything. You saved my company, challenged me to be better, and showed me that love isn't about grand gestures for the cameras. It's about trust, respect, and partnership. He opened the box to reveal a simple platinum band set with a single, brilliant cut diamond. Will you marry me, this time for real? Tears pricked Raya's eyes. She nodded, voice trembling. Yes. He slid the ring onto her finger and rose, pulling her into a gentle embrace. They stood amid lantern light and roses, the city's hum beneath them, a world remade by their journey. Weeks later, the couple exchanged vows in a private ceremony at St. Aurelia's Cathedral, the very place where it all began. Only close friends, family, and Ecoteca's executive team attended. The altar's marble gleamed, stained glass filtered midday sun into jewel-toned patterns. Raya wore a simple silk gown, Jackson a tailored charcoal suit. When the priest asked if anyone objected, she caught his eye and squeezed his hand. No interruptions this time, only solemn promises. I, Raya Morgan, take you, Jackson Rhee, to be my husband, she vowed. To support your dreams as you have supported mine, to challenge you and cherish you, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, for all our days. He smiled, eyes glistening. I, Jackson Rhee, take you, Raya Morgan, to be my wife. To honor your strength, to celebrate your spirit, and to build a life of purpose and passion together, for all our days. They sealed their vows with a kiss as soft applause filled the cathedral. Outside, a modest reception waited in the courtyard, white tents, fairy lights, and a live string quartet playing their favorite song. Months after the wedding, Raya stood in Ecoteca's innovation lab, watching as engineers tested a new solar-powered tablet for remote classrooms. Children's voices echoed through a speaker, lessons in math and science, laughter in between. She smiled, remembering her first day on a bike, delivering packages in the rain, desperate for rent. Jackson joined her, wrapping an arm around her waist. She leaned into him. We did it, she said softly. He kissed her temple. We did. They watched the screens, bright faces learning in places without electricity, without infrastructure. Raya's heart swelled. This was their legacy, a world where opportunity reached every corner. She turned to Jackson. Thank you, for believing in me. He smiled, eyes warm. Thank you, for changing everything. They stood together, partners in life and purpose, the city and world beyond waiting for their next chapter. And as the sun set on New Harbor, the woman who crashed the wrong wedding had become its brightest queen. The end. If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.